Hi, I'm Mandy Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aries for August 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. If you would love to be an astrologer or you would love to align your rhythms with the planetary rhythms to have a more peaceful life for your own personal purposes, then maybe you will love my astrology apprenticeship program. So you can check that out along with my coach certification and online business course, both of which are enrolling now. So what's going on in the wild and wonderful month of August? We have eclipses. Eclipses bring profound transformation, quick exits, quick openings, major reshuffling and restructuring of energy. I talked about in the July horoscopes how the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle that has begun as of the beginning of 2017 and will continue throughout 2019. So we have a couple of years of this storyline. The last time we had this storyline, this restructuring in this area of our lives was between 2008 and 2009. So you can think back to what areas of your life were dramatically affected at that time, and you're probably going to see a lot of changes occur along those lines as well. I had several people ask me, do I think that there's going to be a major market crash as there was in 2008? My answer is no. I think that even though there's obviously a lot of restructuring that has to do, and these eclipses are relevant in some ways to what happened then, the bigger story of the blow up, I believe, came from Pluto moving into Capricorn. You know, when Pluto, the atomic bomb, moves into a different sign, which doesn't happen very often because Pluto is slow moving, very slow moving. It's in a sign for a really long time. When it has a sign change, it brings a profound, hello, I'm here and I'm going to do all this work. So in 1995, when Pluto went into Sagittarius, that was just within the first years, the infancy of the World Wide Web. And Pluto, throughout the time it was in Sagittarius, completely revolutionized our international interactions, as well as many other Sagittarius-based experiences. So when Pluto moved into Capricorn, it started to really bring a boom to our financial structures, to our markets, to how we do business. So I think it more had to do with Pluto and Capricorn. But some of the things that were brought up then that were part of that process had to do with societal norms as far as investing, what people thought you should do, and that definitely made people start to jump more into these tributaries along the mainstream, doing some different things, following their individual passions instead of doing what people told them to do, because so many people did that and then it went to nothing. So it really changed the way people live in a profound way, and that did have a lot to do with the eclipse cycle. So people asking those same questions are definitely going to be a theme that occurs now. So let's talk about where the eclipses are going to hit for these Aries placements. The lunar eclipses bring full moons in triplicate. So the drama, the endings, the completions, the fruition, the acknowledgement, the coming into the light that occurs at each full moon, that is what's going to be going on, except times 3. So the endings will be 3 times more profound, or there could be 3 mini endings, or notable endings. And for Aries energy, this is centered around the 11th house. So, and since it's in the sign of Aquarius, which rules the 11th house, and it's in the 11th house of Aquarius, it's very, very, very focused in this arena, which is about friendships, acquaintances, groups, whether you're leading the groups or you're a part of the group, humanitarian efforts, working with organizations. Astrology is also housed in the 11th house, the metaphysical, new age parts of astrology. So many Aries placements are going to see an ending to a friendship. It could be that a friend moves away. It could be that there's some sort of falling out with a friendship. It could mean that a friend needs help and you have to show up for this dramatic situation for your friend. But friendships are very much brought into the limelight here as a main focus. Also, how you are within a group or a group that you're a part of definitely could have an ending. If you've been running online groups or in-person groups, you could find that you end the way that you've been doing that, or just something major happening involving a group or a team or an organization. The energy that's opening up for the early degree Aries placements. Now again, remember that the new moons open up new energy each month, but this new moon on August 21st is the second new moon in Leo. So it's profoundly powerful. And then it has this solar eclipse And then there's beautiful aspects bringing stability and happy surprises to this solar eclipse. So it's very, very, very powerful. So the openings are either a big opening in triplicate, something that's like takes the weight of 3 things, or 3 openings. The early degree placements will likely experience this partly in the 6th house, but all early, middle, and late degree placements have the energy of this in the 5th house as well. So middle and late degree placements have this only in the 5th house. Early degree placements have it in the 5th house, but also have some possibility of the energy in the 6th house. The 6th house has to do with pets, health, diet, anything having to do with medicine, your daily routine, yoga, meditation. It has to do with your work, how you do your work office dynamics, your routine, how you set up your day, how you set up your organization system, your systems that are at play in your life. So very likely, especially early degree placements, you're up for a new revamping as far as what your daily schedule looks like, a new fresh routine, a new fresh way of doing things, a new fresh office dynamic. Could also mean a new pet. If you're purposely going to get a pet, I would wait until September if you could, and like more towards the end of September, because Mercury is going to be retrograde in August, and it lends itself to short-term experiences. And a pet is something that we want to have as a long-term experience, right? So you could start thinking about, figuring out, I wouldn't say start looking for, but start thinking about what would be your best pet situation, and writing your affirmations and your list of things that you would love to see as far as the perfect pet for you. You can do all that in August. And certainly if a pet comes to you and you have to make the decision then you have to make the decision then. But if you're actively making the decision to get a pet, it's better later into September if you can help it. Of course, you always have to trust your intuition to supersede anything anyone else says. So definitely new diet, new health breakthroughs are going to be very current for a lot of Aries placements. So most of you are going to experience this energy in the 5th house. This is the energy of Leo. So again, you're experiencing this in the sign of Leo, in the house of Leo. So there's like Leo energy, which is conducive to your fire energy. It flows very well with it. The 5th house has to do with fun. It's the area of the chart where just fun for the sake of itself, for no other reason. It's no coincidence that children and creativity and fun and romance even are in the same house, hobbies and games, because the energy of romance, the energy of children, the energy of creativity, all is that wonderful spark. If you ever watch a kid be engaged in play, that childlike wonder can be restored during this eclipse. Creative projects can be started. Many people will find out that they're pregnant. Many people will birth children, have this new child energy, will adopt a child, will start working with children. Something having to do with children is very, very likely for many Aries placements, or increased, improved development of the relationship with the current children that you have or the current children in your life. If you're not trying to get pregnant, be really careful in the times leading up to now and after, because you're in this eclipse cycle with Leo, and many people are going to become parents during this Leo eclipse cycle. So you might not be looking for it, but it might come to you. So that is a big thing that's going on. Definitely implementing things, just fun for the sake of itself, romance for the sake of itself, making time if you have an established partner or someone that you're dating, making time for fun is a really good idea. And also just doing, hobbies and other things like that. If you have a creative project, or even if you're not creative by nature, you might find that you're sizzling with creativity. But usually Aries energy has a pretty solid creative aspect to them. And you might find that you are very, very, very inspired. It's also important to note that at this time of year, your Aries placements make trines with the transits. So you might find that this time of year in general tends to be pretty good for you because it blends really well with your fire placements. And so you might find a continuation of that theme that in this summertime or winter for my friends down under, that you have this kind of creative cycle that seems to really start to sizzle is the best way I could describe it. So those are the things most on my mind for the Aries placements. Now I want to talk in more detail about the general implications of the Leo Aquarius dynamic and also the other transits that you will no doubt be feeling this month. So the eclipses definitely dominate the astrological scene for August for all signs, but there are other aspects that I want to talk about that will affect you as well, and this will affect all signs. Right from the beginning, we've got Jupiter in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. This is the third time that this has happened. The first time was November 24th of 2016. The second pass was March 30th of 2017. And here on August 4th, we have the final chapter. So this has been an ongoing saga having to do with the challenges of connecting with people in order to bring about something into the world. Jupiter in Libra has to do with relationships. Pluto in Capricorn has to do with business and things in the outer view, the public eye. And a square is a conflicted angle. So that means there's something to push through in order to get to the outcome. So the impetus lies in the aspect and also the blocks, so that's what brings the frustration, is that there's this pressure to join together and get something out into the world. But then the blocks and the challenges are also wrapped up in the transit. So there should be some resolution, some final conclusion here. One of the pieces is going to have to do with competition. Whenever we subscribe to the third dimensional belief in competition, there always creates this hamster wheel angst that you never really get out of. But one of my favorite teachers, Florence Scovel Shin, always says, or said, as I read her work, she's passed now a long time ago, there's no competition on the spiritual planes. And that's true. Infinite Spirit has a purpose for us that only we can fill. And you can take marketing data into consideration, you can take third dimensional realities into consideration. But ultimately, what you do in this world has to do with you and Infinite Spirit and your purpose. So the more you can ease into that higher vibrational view of this, whatever you're merging together to do to bring out into the world, you're going to have a much better experience and much better outcomes. So even though I give you the dates of these transits, remember that you can always have the possibility to feel the energies in a manifestation before or after that date. Okay, so don't hang your hat too heavily on the dates that I give you. So also important to note that I am giving you information about specific transits, as I always do, but you can get a more detailed write-up of the general transits that affect everyone when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a month early a written version of the summary of the energy of the month ahead, along with some highlights. If you have signed up for my newsletter already and you're not getting it, I send it out every month early, like clockwork, usually a month early. So if you're not getting it, it's probably going into social promotions, events folder or something like that. So check in there, spam, check in there and move it back into your inbox so that you can get them in a timely basis. Okay, so we talked about the eclipses at length as far as the individual effects for the signs, but we do have general effects for the eclipses as well. The first one is on August 7th. It's a full moon lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Aquarius. We're moving along this continuum that started at the beginning of 2017 that has to do with a reshuffling of energy in the arenas of large organizations, humanitarian efforts, internet-based projects, teams, groups, friendships, circles, whatever kind of circles you find yourself in. That's all Aquarius. So some sort of reshuffling of energy. Some people will be focusing more in those realms, and some people will be focusing more on their own individual desires against the societal norms, which we'll talk about when we get over to the solar eclipse for later in the month. But this lunar eclipse is coming packing a lot of punch because the event also opposes Mars, which increases the likelihood of some sort of conflicted ending or a conflicted completion. Full moon eclipses tend to bring lots of drama, lots of emotion, and some sort of culmination, an ending or something coming to fruition. But with that aspect with Mars, it could be a conflicted ending. There's also a simultaneous nice aspect with Saturn that could bring very positive and strong foundation for present and future security. And there's an additional trine with Jupiter. Anything having to do with a wonderful aspect with Jupiter always is going to bring more enthusiasm, more hope, more faith, and expanded outcomes. So we've got some sweet aspects on the 10th and 11th and 12th. Then on the 12th and 13th, depending on which time zone you're in, Mercury is going to go into retrograde, and that will be at 11 degrees of Virgo. Mercury goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. So we really spend half of our lives in one part of the retrograde transit, either the shadow period that occurs before or the shadow period that occurs after or the actual retrograde. You can look at my video called Mercury Retrograde if you do a search for Annie Botticelli, Mercury Retrograde. I talk about the do's and don'ts and the understandings that it's important to carry. But basically, a lot of pressure is put on weak links that already exist with communication devices, mobility, transportation devices. So any weak links that are there are going to be turned up, so old things that were swept under the rug as far as communication often just blow right out to be dealt with. And often things, people, ideas from the past roll in now for reconsideration. It's not always the best time to make the long-term decision if you can help it. So even though these eclipses and retrograde are going to bring some things right into the forefront, if you can wait until later into September, like at least mid to end September to really commit to a longer term situation, that would be better because you're not going to have all the information. Okay, so we've got a nice aspect with the Sun and Saturn on August 13th where your desires receive enthusiastic support. The 15th we've got, and actually there's another aspect with Venus on the 24th. So there are 2 challenging aspects with Venus this month, the 15th and the 24th, that are going to bring, some tension either with self-esteem, aesthetics, appearance, romance, your relationships in general of any kind, or money. So there's pressure put on Venus this month, and you'll see that come up in little or big ways. Then we have a nice aspect on August 20th with the Sun trining Uranus. So sometimes sudden insights and exhilarating awarenesses or experiences could come in with that. On the 21st, we've got this very powerful new moon solar eclipse at almost 29 degrees of Leo. So this is the second new moon in Leo that we have, which adds a lot of power. Also, new moon solar eclipses are like new openings in triplicate, just as full moons are closings, endings, drama, conclusions, 3 times as powerful as a regular full moon. The new moon eclipses have the opening energies and the new energies 3 times that of a regular new moon. And this is a beautiful new moon. We've got a beautiful aspect with Uranus, which brings, more surprises, happy surprises. Then we have a beautiful aspect with Saturn, which brings, again, this long-term stable factor, which seems to be a theme this month, like certain things starting to click in for future security. And so when you have a solar eclipse, it's an opening. And when you have a solar eclipse in Leo, it has to do with openings in creativity, so anything having to do with children. But for some people, their creative projects are their children. So whether you're conceiving a child or conceiving a creative idea, that process of conception to pregnancy to birth to child or project rearing is all dominated by Leo. So there's going to be lots of new openings there. And for people who already have children, new experiences and, dimensions of parenting. There's also energy associated with athleticism, acting, modeling, directing, fun hobbies, true love. Many, many, many people are going to enter new dimensions of romance with this aspect, which is really exciting. So we've got that on the 21st, and on the 22nd, we have Mars in Leo trining Saturn and Sag. And again, this is a nice boost where action and outcomes blend beautifully. We've got a nice aspect on August 23rd to the 24th with Venus and Chiron, which shows that when we do emotional inner work, in those places where we're wounded, it brings positive gains. On the 24th, so simultaneously with this nice aspect with Chiron, we have a square with Uranus. I alluded to this earlier when I talked about the difficult aspect with Venus on the 15th. When Venus squares Uranus, the bringer of change in a feisty expression in Aries, makes an uncomfortable angle to love, money, and aesthetics. So there's many ways that can look. So definitely having the Venus in Cancer is going to promise emotional jostling from this unpredictable Uranus energy. August 25th, Saturn goes direct at 21 degrees of Sag. This officially ends the break that we've had as Saturn was in retrograde. Saturn is a chop buster. That's what I always call Saturn. Saturn wants discipline, it's a taskmaster, and it wants organization and it wants hard work. And that type of energy doesn't blend well with Sagittarius, the sign that it's in, because Sag is all about free flowing and, not being consistent and all the things that we love about Sagittarius don't mix well with the energy of Saturn. So we've had a break from Saturn kind of forcing us to take these big Sag ideals and dreams and do the hard work, consistent work for bringing those dreams down into the third dimension. We've had a little break from that, but now the break is over. So for the rest of the year, we're going to have to get our nose back to the grindstone and take the daily steps to bringing the dreams into fruition. So when Saturn moves through Sag, it's also a serious faith tester, so we've got the rest of the year for Saturn to sort of weigh heavy on faith, but the more you can stay connected to faith throughout this Saturn transit, the better it will be. And then we end off with a nice aspect with the Sun and Mercury, but that can also mean some powerful criticism, the same aspects that can be something positive, like some bright news, when the Sun and Mercury join together, they enhance each other's qualities. There could be some powerful news that comes in, but Virgo is also really critical, so there could be some harsh criticism that comes in too, so just keep your head up with that. So if you would love to have astrology, to learn astrology in a visceral way, a way that helps you to blend more naturally with the planetary rhythms, then maybe you'll love to take my astrology apprenticeship program. You can see more about it on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Click on work with me. Whether you want to use astrology for your own personal developments or to help your friends and family and yourself to understand karmic patterns, understand what your highest expression is in this lifetime and how you overcome the karmic patterns to step into that, even if you want to do it professionally, then check out my astrology apprenticeship program. If you'd like to be a coach, a wellness coach, a business coach, a spiritual coach of any kind, helping people to reach their goals, then maybe you will love my coach course, which is also enrolling. And that's also combined with my online business course so that you can help create a presence online and develop your coaching business for an online basis. So check that out, anniehelpsyou.com. Also check out my husband B.R. Newman's new tarot reports for each sign. You can look him up, B.R. Newman, Neumann. IamHelios.com is his website. So you can see what he says about your sign as far as the tarot report, and that supplements what I've just shared with you. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.